Michael Turner knew something was wrong the moment he stepped inside the building, but he didn't realize it was the day his entire life would be ripped apart. The afternoon sky over Phoenix stretched in a pale, hazy blue when Michael Turner stepped out of the bus near the cream-colored office building with the metallic sign that read, Tanix Global Wellness Center. He tugged at the collar of his shirt, already damp with sweat, though the early autumn air was mild. Anxiety crept through his chest like an unwelcome parasite as he approached the glass double doors, trying to recall the exact inflection in his friend's voice when she had said, Michael, this place is legit. You've been struggling since the layoffs. Maybe this is the new start you need. He had wanted to believe her, wanted to believe anyone. For 3 months, he had been living on the thin thread of a dwindling savings account, watching bills stack on the kitchen counter at his tiny apartment. He needed anything that looked like opportunity. When the doors slid open, he entered a room that hit him with a manufactured freshness, like overused essential oils masking something stale beneath. A giant poster displayed a golden phoenix rising out of swirling water, with the slogan, Rebirth Through Wellness and Wealth. The floor shone with an unnatural gleam, reflecting his uneasy expression. A smiling woman with curled auburn hair approached him immediately. Hi there, you must be Michael, she chirped, extending a hand with rings that glinted like tiny warning signs. I'm Tara Logan, your intake coordinator for today. Welcome to TNX. Her friendliness felt too big and too bright, but Michael forced a smile. Thanks. I'm, excited to learn more. Of course you are, Tara said. This is a life-changing moment. Let's get you inside the briefing room. Everyone is dying to meet you. He followed her past a hallway lined with framed photos of people holding oversized checks and grinning like lottery winners. Every image had the same polished feel, too symmetrical, too staged. Something tugged at Michael's instincts, but he pushed the thought away. He needed this to be real. Inside the briefing room, a group of about 20 people sat in rows of foldable chairs facing a small stage. Upbeat music played from a speaker in the corner, some triumphant synth melody that tried to evoke hope, but felt a little too rehearsed. A man in a navy suit paced across the stage, his perfectly styled blonde hair unmoving. He held a wireless microphone and radiated a level of confidence Michael had never possessed. There he is, the man boomed, pointing dramatically at Michael. Our new potential partner. Everyone, give him a 10x welcome. The crowd erupted in applause. Several people whistled. Someone shouted, You got this, man. Michael swallowed. The attention made his skin crawl, but he forced a wave and sank into an empty seat. The man on stage strode down toward him, extending a hand. I'm Bradley Cole, Regional Director and Senior Mentor here at TNX. We're thrilled to have you. And trust me, by the end of today, you'll be thrilled to have us. Bradley's handshake was too firm, like he was trying to crush hesitation out of Michael's bones. The presentation began. For 2 hours, Bradley and 3 other mentors gave speeches about financial freedom, health transformations, spiritual empowerment, and generational wealth. They showcased products, powdered supplements, magnetic bracelets, posture-correcting devices, herbal capsules with names like BioFortify Complete and Zen Matrix Flow. Every claim bordered on miraculous. Cures chronic fatigue, reduces inflammation, stabilizes emotions, enhances mental clarity, reverses aging. At the same time, they hammered the idea of entrepreneurship, emphasizing how selling these products could give anyone the chance to earn thousands of dollars per month with hardly any effort. Michael watched, increasingly overwhelmed. The crowd cheered after every slide, gasped at every before and after picture, nodded fervently at every statistic, though none of them cited actual sources. During one of the breaks, a younger man with a sharply edged beard and sleeveless vest leaned over from the neighboring seat. Name's Jake Peterson, he said. First time here? Yeah, Michael said. All good, man. Changed my life, Jake said proudly. I was dead broke. Now I'm earning 5 figures. Michael tried to smile. That's great. Trust me. Stick with us. By this time next year, you won't even recognize your life. The break ended too quickly. The next section began, and that was when things shifted. Bradley turned off the music and dimmed the lights. A spotlight glowed behind him as he clasped his hands solemnly. Now we get to the truth, he began. The truth that most of society is too scared to face. He paced. People out there, jobs, corporations, 9-to-5 slavery. They don't care about you. They want you small. They want you broke. They want you desperate, so you never realize your potential. The crowd murmured in agreement. But we care, Bradley said, placing a hand on his chest. We're a family. And families don't let each other fail. Michael felt something shift in the room, an emotional tightening, as if invisible hands were guiding the reactions of everyone around him. He recognized the tone, the cadence. He had heard motivational speakers before, but this felt different. This felt like coercion wrapped in inspiration. Then Bradley pulled out a tablet. Now we'll discuss investment tiers, he said casually, so you can choose your path to freedom today. The screen displayed 4 glossy packages. Bronze, $1,500 silver, $3,000. Gold, $7,500 platinum leadership, $12,000. Michael's heart lurched. $12,000? He couldn't afford even 15. Tara appeared beside him as if summoned by panic. Which one feels right to you? She whispered. I don't know. Those numbers are high. High? She laughed gently. No, sweetheart. These are opportunities. Investments in yourself. In your future. Bradley continued speaking, using phrases like, fear is the enemy of success. Those who hesitate stay broke. Money returns, but regret lasts forever. The crowd shouted affirmations. The energy built like a wave closing in. Tara leaned closer. Michael, how much is in your savings? He stiffened. I'm not sure that's. You said you were serious about changing your life, she said, her voice soft but razor sharp. Serious people take action. Look at everyone else here. He glanced around. Some attendees already stood in line at the payment table. Others spoke in hushed tones with mentors, looking pressured. He saw a middle-aged woman holding a credit card with trembling hands. A teenager whose eyes were filled with confusion. A man who looked like he hadn't slept in days. Michael's pulse quickened. He could feel his blood pressure rising his temple, thumped with a dull ache. I can't afford this, he whispered. Tara smiled sympathetically, but didn't break eye contact. You can. Use a card. Or multiple cards. We have financing options. Your friend Sarah said you were determined. Don't prove her wrong. Something cracked inside him, fear mixed with shame, a toxic brew. Tara guided him toward the table before he could form a protest. A man with cold eyes and a forced grin sat behind a laptop. Which tier? He asked. Michael opened his mouth, but no words came out. He's thinking gold, Tara said quickly. Right, Michael? No, he finally said, his voice barely audible. I can't. I really can't. Bradley appeared suddenly behind them, his smile perfectly intact, but his eyes flat. Michael, let's talk privately, he said, gesturing toward a side room. Inside, the air felt stale. Bradley closed the door and leaned against it. Let's be direct, he said calmly. You need money. You need a future. You need change. And we're offering it. You can't let fear sabotage you. Michael felt cornered. I don't have the money. Do you have a credit card? Yes, but do you have a second card? Yes. Do you have available credit? Some. Bradley nodded. Then you can invest. Your excuses are emotional. Your potential is logical. Michael's chest tightened. "I don't think this is right." Bradley's smile faded. "Michael, we put time into you today. We believed in you. This isn't a place for people who waste others' effort." Guilt surged through him like a sudden fever. "Don't be the guy who quits on himself," Bradley said. "Be the guy who proves everyone wrong." Michael felt dizzy. The walls seemed to close in. The fluorescent light above him buzzed aggressively. His heartbeat pounded against his ribs, so violently it felt like something inside him might snap. He swallowed. "I can't think." "That's because you're resisting your destiny," Bradley said softly. And then something inside Michael broke, not because he believed them, but because the pressure suffocated him. "Fine," he whispered. "I'll do silver." "I can only do silver." Bradley smiled again. "Good man." They processed the payment. Michael watched his account drain in real time, his stomach twisting. When the session ended hours later, he walked out of the building with a cheap tote bag filled with supplements and pamphlets. The sun had begun to set, but the heat still clung to his skin. He could feel his pulse throbbing in his neck. That night, in his apartment, he stared at his bank statement. He had barely enough left for rent. His breathing grew shallow. The room blurred. He pressed his hand to his chest, feeling a painful pressure building. The next morning, he woke with a splitting headache and a sensation like a vice squeezing his skull. He checked his blood pressure at a pharmacy kiosk, 178 1/105. The screen flashed red. He felt sick. He went home and tried to call to an ex, but the number led to voicemail. He called again. No response. Hours later, Tara texted, "Don't panic. Stress is normal early on. Focus on selling products. Success solves everything." Michael slammed his phone down. His vision swam. He felt betrayed, used, discarded. For days he spiraled. The guilt of losing his savings crushed him. The pressure from the company's follow-up messages urging him to buy more inventory made him nauseous. Bradley sent a voice message saying, "Successful people don't quit. You owe it to yourself and to us to follow through." His blood pressure climbed higher each day. His head pounded so violently he could barely sleep. Every time he thought about Tinex, a wave of panic rolled through him. He realized the truth. They had manipulated him, cornered him, drained him mentally and financially. One night, unable to bear the suffocating anxiety, he called his friend Sarah. When she heard his voice shaky, breathless, she rushed to his apartment with a worried expression. She brought water, food, and calm. She listened as he told her everything, every lie, every pressure tactic, every moment he felt trapped. She hugged him tightly. "Michael," she whispered, "they scammed you. This wasn't your fault. We're going to fix this." The next morning she helped him report the transaction to his bank, file complaints, gather evidence. She insisted he see a doctor. His blood pressure was dangerously high, and he was put on medication immediately. Weeks passed. Slowly, Michael stabilized. His anxiety eased. But the memory remained like a bruise that refused to fade. He learned more about the company, how they routinely manipulated vulnerable people, how their motivational scripts were rehearsed, how their success stories were fabricated, how many lives they had drained. He joined a support group for victims of similar schemes. There he met people who understood the shame and confusion he had felt. He spoke, hesitantly at first, then with growing strength. His story mattered. His pain mattered. And with time, he found a job at a small community health nonprofit, helping people recognize predatory organizations and financial traps. His experiences gave him empathy and insight. He found purpose again. But he never forgot the moment he stood in that TNX room, surrounded by false promises and forced enthusiasm, wondering if he was about to make a mistake that would ruin him. He never forgot the way his body reacted, panic disguised as fate, pressure disguised as possibility. He learned something vital. Desperation makes people vulnerable, and manipulation preys on hope. He learned to trust himself again, and he promised that no one he met would ever face that kind of pressure alone.